let's get more from DC and speak to our correspondent there, Kethevane Gorjestani. Kethevane, let's start by talking about that phone call between Antony Blinken and Sergei Lavrov. Has anything emerged from that?
Well, if you take the U.S. side of it, the U.S. readout is very light on details, just the same insistence about the deeply troubling Russian military buildup or on the border with Ukraine, and the reiteration by Tony Blinken of the unshakable commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty. That was for the U.S. side, which urged Sergei Lavrov to continue on the diplomatic path to resolve the situation. If you listen to the Russian side, it seems that Sergei Lavrov took some issue with what happened last week, which was that the Americans brought up some information that Russians were preparing some false flag operations in eastern Ukraine. And according to the Russian news agency, Sergei Lavrov asked Tony Blinken not to replicate speculation about alleged Russian aggression. So the readouts there are a little bit different, but it seems that the two men have agreed to hold more talks, possibility of more talks. And according, as you mentioned, to that Russian newspaper, Kommersant, those talks might be happening as soon as Friday in Geneva between the two foreign ministers to continue to try to work on that diplomatic path, though right now there are no signals that any side is really willing to go beyond having those talks and actually take some actions towards that diplomatic path.
And this visit to Ukraine by Antony Blinken, I mean, so that we've got the telephone bit that's happened today. Actually, as we say, he's going to be physically present in Kiev and then in Geneva later in the week. Also Berlin he's managed to fit in. All of this worked out pretty last minute, isn't it?
Yes, it really shows how worried and how seriously the United States is taking the situation, and maybe how seriously they feel that they're not really getting any traction with the Russians as far as the diplomatic path. So Tony Blinken is going to be in Ukraine. He's going to meet with the Ukrainian President Zelensky. He's going to meet with his Ukrainian counterpart also to really show the U.S. support. But there was one bit of information that was pretty important about that trip to Ukraine. Tony Blinken is also going to meet with embassy staff, U.S. embassy staff, and according to the information on that trip, it says that he's going to communicate to embassy staff efforts to plan for contingencies should Russia choose to escalate further. So contingencies about what to do with the U.S. embassy staff if Russia were to invade Ukraine. That's pretty significant for the Americans. And then, as you said, after that, he's going to go to Berlin to meet with his German counterpart to discuss the situation and to discuss allies' readiness to impose massive consequences on Russia. So really that part, the German part of that trip for Tony Blinken, is really assuring that the Europeans and the Americans are aligned when it comes to what the consequences will be if Russia chooses to invade. And then, of course, if it actually does happen. So far, we haven't had the confirmation from the U.S. side that those talks in Geneva will happen. But there is some sort of a buildup of physical presence of Tony Blinken to maybe try to push forward on the diplomatic path.
Okay, well, France 24's Kethevane Gorjestani in Washington. Thank you very much for bringing us up to speed on those developments.